welcome back to another episode of Our Last 30, a podcast about life, death, and everything in between. Man, we're pretty excited. This is a big one. If you follow us on social media, well, he has a larger social media presence. I'm the old guy, so I'm just on Facebook. I think I might have some other things, but I'm not really sure. But
we got text messages.
We do. I do have text messages with font this big. We've been making it to this point, really not really thinking that we could get here, to be quite honest. Really. But thank you for being here. We made it to episode 30. We did it with you. We started off with 2 or 3 and sometimes 5 family members listening in, supporting us, and at times encouraging us. And man, that feels great, I got to tell you. And as of this morning, right around midnight, we're here to let you know and hope you can celebrate with us that we reached 1,000.
1,000. So we're a little bit over 1,000 right now. But
so this is where we start doing balloons and
whatever else comes to.
So, listen, if you're a podcaster out here, or if you're anyone else, you're absolutely not impressed. For us, because this is our effort to make things happen individually as just a small team of professionals trying to figure this out. This is a big deal for us. Yeah. So 1,000 is a big deal.
It's a wild number.
So 30 episodes in less than a year. Yeah. It's been a tremendous journey, and super excited about what's next for us. I got to ask you, man, did you ever think we're positive people, but did you think we'd get here?
Nah, I don't think that was ever in my head that we could get to the point where we're at now, at 30 episodes and 1,000 subscribers to our YouTube channel. Wow. And about to host our first inaugural summit.
That's right.
I don't think that was ever a vision that I had for what we were creating. So no, I did not really ever envision us being here. But here we are, reflecting on all the versions of ourselves that had to die to get to where the point we're at. And what I mean by die.
I'm about to say, Caesar, we're here. What do you mean? Are we ghosts?
Nah, no. We could be, but I don't know. By the time y'all see this video, we could be in a couple of years if y'all see it. But no, what I mean is that transition who we were, so that death of who we were as persons and individuals, and all that craziness that came through figuring out life and figuring out how to go about things and how to even explore how to start a podcast. Because if there's one thing that we've learned, is that we're not responsible for carrying anything or everything. And today we'll break that down a little bit more. I know we've talked a little bit about the 7 things that we let go in the previous episode, so we'll be able to break down that a little bit more in our celebration episode.
Absolutely. And where this came from, I was talking to my former boss, shout out to my former supervisor when I was in the military. And he said, man, he was just saying, I really enjoyed Caesar's perspective on 7 things that we're not responsible for. And in fact, he's not alone. That video got close to 500 views. It's our most viewed video. Again, humbly, we say it's our most viewed videos. One of the most viewed video we have on tap. And so my colleague, my former boss, and a colleague of mine said the same thing. That really spoke to me. I like that perspective of 7 things we're not responsible for. And it's relevant because at any age, we're in that point where we give and almost exhaust ourselves. And so when you said sometimes we have to die, right? The concept of transitioning from who we were to who we are. And so actually, my first question as we get started, man, we get right into it. What's something that you once believed about life that you no longer do?
A lot, but I think
mindful that we don't have 14 hours.
I was about to say. So I think this will summer up a little bit better. Honestly, I think by whenever I was 26, 25, I thought that I had everything, or I needed to have everything figured out, have a family, have a profession where I wanted to be for the rest of my life, and make that career and retire there. Things like that. At this point, I'm just trying to remember to make my coffee in the morning before I head to work. Because there's days that I'm on the car driving to work. I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot my coffee. So,
or you have your coffee, you forgot to put sugar, or something like that.
Yeah, something. I mean, whatever the case may be. So, y'all always see me with a little cup. I always carry my little coffee with me.
And it's wild, right? It's wild how time changes our perspective on things, And I think about, for me, my perspective, the younger me. I'm not gonna lie, man, and maybe you can relate to this. I was hard on myself, dude. If I could go back, I'd tell the young Fred, like, dude, you don't have to have it all figured out. And I'll say this: when I was young, the pressure to have it figured out, it was there. Certainly, there was familial and community pressure to like, hey man, you're 22, you should be doing this. You're 25, you should be doing this. All these kinds of things. And I responded well to that. I like to think I was a pretty responsible young person. But I worry about young people today, Caesar, because the expectation of what they're supposed to be like. If you watch videos and social media, you're supposed to be at 25 a millionaire. You're supposed to be a famous podcaster or an absolutely beautiful human being.
Well, I am beautiful.
Well, certainly you are. You are the most beautiful guy I know with a beard. Anyways.
Okay. No,
let's go with that.
We might have to cut that out. But.
You're the most beautiful woman I know with a beard, Caesar. Cut that one out too. Caesar, you're a handsome guy.
I'm gonna keep that one. I'll keep that one.
That was take 47, by the way. No, but in 30 years, 30 years, you think about what that will look like. In 30 years, you're going to be my age.
Yeah, I'll be 58.
Yeah, and in 30 years, if I'm alive, we're going to really be in that little space of what did we know even then? Because every day you're learning, and that's the thing, right? It's constant. Growth is constant. It's on the other side of that discomfort. So if you're comfortable, you're not growing. And if there's some discomfort in your life, you are growing, right? And so that's the whole objective of today's deep dive. It's to talk more about your video in the 7 things we're not responsible for.
Absolutely.
And specifically shedding the old part of who we are. To shed, to get rid of that old skin and to transition, the metamorphosis of going from this to that. And that's what today's about. So thanks for being with us today. Thanks for listening. And so let's get into this, man. Let's talk about those versions of ourselves and what we had to do to transition to become who we are today. And for you, you're a young man, but that doesn't mean you haven't gone through transitions in life already. If you're 16, 17 years old, you're probably thinking the same thing, like, oh man, I haven't even experienced life. Or maybe someone is telling them, you haven't even experienced life. And that's not true, man. Even at those young ages, you're already going through those physical, mental, spiritual transformations. You're trying to discover who you are, explore. Sometimes you question, like, is this what I want? And, the paths people have for us. So, like, who did you have to bury to be the man you are today, man? What is that transition?
No, I think, honestly, I had to let go of the person that needed the validation from others, from family members, from friends, from social media, from other teammates, schoolmates that I had. I think I overput so much pressure on myself to be able to achieve some of the things that they wanted to, or the things that they were achieving, that for me, that was not realistic, and it wasn't at a point where I wanted or needed to be. And I think one of a quick example that I can give is whenever I was going into college, my father at the time, he's like, well, why don't you go into like cybersecurity or like something with computers where you're going to be making money right off the bat? I'm like, yes, money is going to be great once I graduate. But at this point in life, like, I'm not passionate about it. That's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to pursue. So it took a lot in me to be like, you know what? let me step back a little bit. Let me take care of myself first, understand where I want to be at, what I want to do. And I think that was a big change in my life where I knew that I wanted to go into psychology, criminal justice. And even with some of the hesitations that my parents had at the beginning, I ended up doing it. I ended up going through it. And I think that's definitely what started to shift. And I think, obviously, as we grow older, there's a lot of things that you have to let go of. There's a lot of things that you need to change and modify to be able to be the best version of yourself. And I think I'm constantly evolving whenever it comes to that. I think whether it be waking up earlier in the morning, like those are little habits that you start to get to build, going to bed earlier, things like that. That constantly keep evolving, and those are going to help the decisions that you make down the road and going to help you become the better version of yourself.
Nah, man, I feel that. Appreciate that. In my perspective, I was raised pretty traditional, and the expectation was that you have to be strong, right? And don't show any vulnerability. And particularly as a veteran, if you're a part of the millions of men and women who are U.S. military veterans, you know that showing strength is I mean, it's everything that's expected of us. You're talking about representing the United States as the fighting force, as the protection, even above local, state, and national law enforcement. You're talking about an international presence of a fighting force, and the preparation and that's a tremendous amount of preparation. So the expectation resulting from all that preparation is strength. Mental, physical strength, and to transition from that and to be vulnerable is where I've had difficulty in. And as we experience those difficult moments in our lives, if you are not prepared, man, you can go from the strongest guy, the strongest woman, the strongest, however you self-identify, into someone who is having tremendous difficulty with those feelings, with that situation. For us, I talk about it often, having a tool belt. I have education, I had military experience, I had just an amazing family around me, blah, 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 blah. I can tell you 20 things that I had around me. But what I had never prepared for was and this is unfortunate for me, right? Was the death of a parent. It's so obvious, like, we're going to transition, Caesar, we're going to die. And yet I had put it off, like, no, man, never saying it, but thinking we're all going to live forever.
Sure.
And that's for me, it was a selfish way of thinking, I'm probably going to die first, and I'll never have to experience that pain. And the truth of the matter is, when a family member transitions and dies, particularly during the times, unique times during COVID, it could be a result of a domestic violence or a car accident, or just a tremendous accident, and we're never fully prepared for those moments. And so, again, for me, it was that ability to show our vulnerabilities. Right?
Absolutely. And I think it's difficult for us men, specifically, when we're talking about vulnerabilities, right? I think it's tough for us to really understand what it all entails and to be able to show our feelings. But at the end of the day, sometimes we try to grieve and try to go back to who we used to be, because I think that's where we felt safe at one point. And that's where the comfort zone came in. But at the end of the day, to be able to move past it and be the better version of ourselves, we need to grow. We need to be able to release what no longer serves us and bring something new experiences. For example, we were just talking about that mental health and vulnerability, getting help mentally. I think that's a huge component that we've been advocates for in the last few years. Being able to be a man and going to see a therapist, being able to talk about your feelings, being able to talk to somebody about what it is that you're going through in order to not bottle up everything. And that brings us to the first item of the 7 things that we're not responsible for. We're not responsible for meeting everyone's expectations. People are going to say things. People are going to talk about you. People are going to complain about you. People are going to make assumptions of you. we're not responsible for meeting their expectations. We're supposed to meet our own expectations and where we want to be, and we got to be comfortable and okay with that.
You know, that's the thing, Caesar, is we spend so much time trying to be what other people expect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky, man. I'm an older dude, and I get to be just who I want to be. I really do. I look at younger people in the community. I look at my children, and there is a huge expectation to be someone else.
Yeah.
I look at the difficulty that women put on other women. Like, women can be tough on each other.
Man,
right? As you get older and this and stuff, and it is unique. And I hope I don't offend anyone by that statement, but for the most part, for men, we bust each other's chops. Like, look at this guy getting fat over here. This guy, oh my God, he's so skinny. Or look at you. Like, we even kid people like, look at you, he's so short. Look at this guy over here. He's so handsome. I'm like, what? How's that an insult? Like, we do stuff like that.
Insults all the time.
Okay. You know, that's what I have to deal with. No, but really, like, so we can kid each other, and I see that society has put these expectations on women to be beautiful from this age till death, and society doesn't do that. And society, I'm talking about probably other men, that put all that pressure on women and start identifying them as oh, that's a beautiful young lady, that's a smart young lady, and for the most part, we don't put those pressures on young men. We might brag about their athletic ability, or and whatever else.
Whether they meant varsity football or not that year or whatever.
That's it, man. And guys, I remember growing up, the young ladies, if something happened, they stretched that thing out maybe throughout the year. Yeah. And for the most part, the guys met after school, fought, and within a day or two, it kind of moved on from that. And in some occasions, ended up best friends.
I was about to say, that's where you make the best friends, bro. After a good fight, after a good tussle.
I mean, it makes sense. It's like, listen, if you and I get in a fight, and I get a couple licks in, you get a couple licks in, there's a level of respect there, right? I mean,
sure.
You walk away with like, hey, man, like, hey, we did our thing.
Yeah, he didn't back down.
He didn't back down. I got to respect that. Mm-hmm. He also busted my lip up a little bit. Like, I don't want any of that fire or none of that heat. But at the same time, I got a whole new level of respect. And that's a beautiful way of doing this. It's complicated. Man, I wish I knew the reasons why we do the things we do. But I do see that we treat men and women differently. And I'll be the first to admit, Caesar, with my children, man, I am guilty of treating my sons one way and treating my daughters another.
For sure.
And I think it's part cultural. Hispanic culture does this.
Absolutely.
It's cultural, and the American way of doing things, we do the same thing. We want to toughen up our men, and you don't cry, dude, and da-da-da-da-da, all this stuff. And then our young ladies, you want to protect them. And who said that to you? And we're going to kick some dirt on somebody who
I'm seeing it now. So a couple of days ago, my sister asked me to be godfather to my little niece. I was talking
the little burrito.
She's 6 months old. She just turned 6 months old.
You know what you should do right now before you make that point? Put a picture of
her little burrito
of her, so you guys know like how super cute she is. Okay, so hopefully
she's super cute. So I was having to talk to her. I'm like, girl, you ain't gonna have a boyfriend until you're 25. She's 6 months old, and that like things like that that are already ingrained within society and our culture that we're gonna protect our ladies, we're gonna protect them no matter what. Even when they're 6 months old, they don't even know what the heck you're talking to.
And here's the thing. You can't apologize for that.
No, of course not.
And again, as we said last week, we're not able to be canceled because we're irrelevant. We mean nothing.
We really are, bro.
So you can't cancel us. But here's the thing. I'm not going to apologize or say I'm sorry for raising my children the way I have and for my beliefs. Sure. You shouldn't apologize for your beliefs.
Never.
If you think that women should be tougher than men and your society does all that and your culture, bro, I support that. I love it. But the way I was raised was, again, to kind of toughen up the boys. To your point, Caesar, my youngest daughter, if you asked her, like, when are you allowed to have a boyfriend? She'll say 32.
So I gave him a little leeway. I said 25.
Yeah, okay. So you might have to revisit that.
Okay.
And and we have fun with it. We know it's not true. And even I guess about a year or last year, she said, Dad, she was holding on to something. What's going on? She goes, I like a little boy. Oh, well,
ooh, that is. Oh, was that a fun day in the Fuertes house?
Now we can start cleaning this cute little weapon we have here. Now, we had fun with it, but again, to each their own. You raise your children the way you think is appropriate, and again, respectful to that. But what the point of it is, we're never going to please everyone.
No.
So you if you're watching this, you're like, that's not appropriate. You shouldn't tell your daughter this. I mean, there's a whole comment section. We're not going to block it.
People
you can
are
hit me all you want. I'm not going to say anything. Or you shouldn't worry about toughening up your sons. Like, well, I'm going to tell you like this. Here's what I tell people. Society is going to treat them exactly the way I've prepared my children to respond.
Oh, absolutely.
Society is tough on boys. If your son is at school or in a work environment and he's not reflecting some toughness, life can be hard on him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't want life to be any harder than it already is on my children. But also, like, there's some other life lessons. The way we were raised, my sisters were expected to go outside and cut the grass. Now I was expected to stay inside and do laundry and wash dishes and vacuum. And then we switched roles. So we were taught to have dual roles and understandings and responsibilities, as do my children. But I also prepare my sons to protect themselves.
Oh, of course.
Right? And to protect those that they care and love.
Absolutely.
So remember that, man. You're never going to please everyone. So, and making yourself vulnerable is also just giving your opinion. Mm-hmm. In today's society, if you give your opinion, as we often do, Caesar shared the last couple of weeks his experience of transitioning from one place to another, his physical transformation. Yeah. And I know that people have strong opinions about that. If you object to it and you didn't say anything, like,
don't watch it.
That's cool.
Next.
And it's appreciated too. Like, but if you don't agree and you feel like you have to like write this long dissertation on why people shouldn't be, like, again, man, whatever. We are going to read the comments though.
Oh, we will, and we might reply, and we appreciate all the things. But I think that also that's a good transition into the next point that we talked about.
So
we're not responsible for making others happy, bro. That's one of the things that we need to get out of our head.
We're not
and I'll repeat it again.
For making people happy.
Exactly.
Expand on that. Give it to me.
Man, it's hard to be able to even talk about it or even explain it in a sense. I think most of the time we go through life trying to make people happy for whatever it is that we're doing.
And fix everything.
Yep.
Fix everything.
Yeah. So we're trying to be that, but I think at the end of the day, your happiness is your own responsibility. I'm not going to make you happy for what I do, or I'm not going to try to do anything to make you happy. You have to find that on your own. And that's something that we need to be able to understand and support each other in that process, which is, I think, the biggest component that we sometimes miss. We're like, yeah, well, he's got to be happy. Like, yeah, but what are you doing to support it? I'm not telling you that I'm going to be the one that's going to make you happy or that I'm going to do anything to make you happy. But at the end of the day, if you care for somebody, you're going to be there through that process.
And what you're saying is, like, I mean, in our relationships, we are going to make people happy. Of course. But ultimately, Caesar, their choice to be happy is their choice, right? And so when you recognize, I've been married just shy of, in a couple weeks, I will have been married 30 years. Actually, we talk about Pobrecita, her last 30 years.
Pero 30 years?
That's a life sentence, my friend.
For her, yeah.
What I have oftentimes told my spouse is like, listen, I'm going to work hard to keep everyone safe, to advance the families and everything. But ultimately, the happiness is your choice.
Yeah.
A positive attitude is your choice.
Yeah.
You want to get down on yourself and poop on yourself and be like, man, I'm no good. I'm no good. You want to do that?
And I think we've all done it. it takes more to get out of that, because I mean, I think we've all done it. If we make a mistake here or there, we'll dwell on it for a little bit, and we'll beat ourselves up, whether it was whatever the case may be. If we're talking specifically about sports, I'm a goalkeeper, so anytime that I let a goal in, I'm like, dang it, I should have saved that. But at the end of the day, if I keep that throughout the whole game, I'm gonna keep getting scored on. That's right. I gotta change that mentality to be like, all right, I messed up. What was the mistake? Let me fix it for the next time.
Correct. And that's a beautiful transition into how we operate life. Exactly. If you sat there and said, like, man, I'm no good, I can't do this right, I didn't pass that test, I didn't get certified, I didn't get into this program, whatever it is, if you over embrace the idea, it's okay to be like, dang, I didn't get in, like, whatever, I have some feelings about that.
Oh, of course.
But if you use it as a learning opportunity,
exactly,
then you're better already.
Exactly.
You're better already, man. I love it. So the other thing you talked about in the video was the third one, that we're not responsible for rescuing others from their mistakes. That's huge, because all of the Hollywood movies are, the superhero coming in and get out of the way or doing this stuff. But the truth of the matter is, that is a comic book reference. Yeah. You can't save everyone. No. You can't rescue them from their mistake. Because what do they learn?
Nothing.
If every time you fall, someone else picks you up, you will never have the strength, the ability, the courage, and the fortitude to pick yourself up. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that.
I think, like mentioning, going back to it, we always were raised or felt like we needed to be the fixer, per se, and with our friends, family, whatever the case was, relationships. Oh, we sometimes tend to also feel the need to take that responsibility away from them. But no, if you made a mistake, you got to own up to it. And at the end of the day, if I say, if I excuse you from it or whatever, that's not going to help you. We need to be able to learn from it and be able to get back up. There's a famous quote: it doesn't matter how many times you get down, it's however many times you can get up. So if we're picking people up, they're never going to learn that lesson. Correct. They're always going to go through life with a see, again, we're going to English being my second language, with a cane, so they always have that support. In the head, I said bastón in my head.
I can translate too, bro.
I don't know about all that, but so see, their example, I just had the dang mistake. If I would have kept going, or we would have edited this and taken that out, I don't know the responsibility of things like that. So yeah, I think we got to go through it. We got to be able to learn through our mistakes.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, this one is, right, being the fixer. And I see a lot of people, I hear a lot of my homegirls like, yeah, I'm dating this new guy. Mm-hmm. I'm going to fix him. I'm going to fix him. He's all messed up, but he sure is handsome. I'm going to fix him. And the thing is, like, here's the thing, man. You can't fix anyone, men or women, however you self-identify. You can't fix someone, but you can meet them halfway. You can guide them. You can empower them. Yeah. But you ain't going to fix something that someone that's broken.
No.
They got to fix them. The point is that the support component is important. Yeah. But you don't have the tools, unless you're a therapist, to help someone transition from that. And if your goal is to treat them like that, it says Mike is off.
No, it doesn't.
Right up there.
Oh yeah, because that mic is off.
If your goal is to fix everyone, you're going to be disappointed, right? In every relationship you enter, and also it's offensive. Yeah. Like if every relationship you enter, you're like, let me fix you. Like, hold up a second. Who said I need
to fix yourself first?
Hey, fix yourself first. Put that on the t-shirt. Fix yourself first. You're talking about you gonna fix me? I don't want fixing. So you know what? Here's real stuff, man. Some people are happy with who we are. I'm happy with who I am. I'm an imperfect representation of happiness. I'm happy, bro, but I ain't perfect. And as I get older, my transition is reflective of that exaggerated happiness. Mm-hmm. And you know what it is, man? We're alive, we're in a position where if you really want, you can do something.
Yeah.
But if your family, if a family member of yours is transitioned, they're no longer here on earth, their time came to an end. Mm-hmm. You can still do things. So like me, I don't use excuses, brother. I don't sit there like, I wasn't going to go to school, but what? Go to school. Here's the thing. It's never the right time.
No, absolutely not.
Oh, I was going to get married, but dude, it's never the right time.
We're always going to have 100 reasons of why not to do things. So find the one reason why to.
Go through your list of everything. Every week I have my list of things I need to do. I never get to finish it.
Oh, no.
So the negative perspective would say, I had 28 things on my list and I only did 10. The positive perspective says, I had 28 things. Dude, I did 10. Had I not kept a list, I probably would have only done like 4 or 5. Yep. I got 10 things done that moved me closer to the goals. So positive perspective. And I think this ties into the next one, Cesar. You talked about we're not responsible for managing other people's emotions. Ooh. You talk about that because that's huge, man. That's huge.
That's something that we all have to learn in a hard way. How one person feels, they have to manage it on their own. If they're not happy with their life, if they're not happy where they're at, if they're not happy in a relationship,
because that emotion surfaces out. It's not internal, right? They're like, nah, man.
Yeah, no.
And they have all these attitudes and whatever. Like, hey, baby, get your emotions in check.
You got to change their emotions, and I think one of the biggest examples that I have and that I continue to speak on is whenever I went to Omaha, whenever I left my comfort zone of being at home, being with the family, to move 10 hours away to work, I had to own up to my own emotions and understand that I was not happy at that place of work at that moment. I needed to own up to it. And again, tying the rest of them, I didn't care what other people thought about me. I didn't care what other people would say about me. I didn't care what their emotions or their feelings towards me were. I needed to take care of myself first. So I understood that my feelings were towards this job, not the place. I loved Omaha. It's a beautiful place. Beautiful. I saw myself there for years if it wouldn't have been for that specific reason. So I had to own up to it and manage my own expectations and be able to move back home 6 months into being literally uprooting my whole life to go 10 hours for a position that I thought was going to be where I would retire or where I continue to grow in the next 5 to 10 years. At the end of the day, that didn't work out. But you have to own up to that and understand where you want to be at, what's going to make you happy at the end of the day, because we can't go through life being miserable, whether it be at work, whether it be a relationship, whether it be with family. I think we've seen that a lot.
Some choose that.
Absolutely.
Some people in our circle, in our families, choose misery over being happy.
They'd rather be in that comfort zone. It's a comfort zone.
That's their comfort zone, brother. That's all they know.
Yeah.
That's a hard one because it probably hits home for you if you're listening in. The emotional side. It's the piece that comes out of the body and reflects, and it's something that you can't hide. Everyone is seeing your emotions, right? If you're angry, if you're this and that, you talk about a little bit of growth on that side. A few years ago, I was in a situation where I was not happy at all in my work environment. And you know what the easiest thing to do is? Oh, my boss, he or she ain't this and that. And then, we do like you be cautious of people who say stuff like this. Oh, my boss is stupid. They don't know anything. Or they always like insult everyone around them. Like, oh, everyone's stupid in my job. Dang, bro. Everyone is stupid at your job.
You're the only smart one.
Dude, you're the only smart one. Isn't that something? And I've heard people say that for years. Like, no, it's just everyone's stupid. It ain't that. So when I went through my difficult period, I had to look at what I was doing to contribute to the difficulty of that environment.
Yes, sir.
And that's a hard one, bro. Because the easiest way for me was to point a finger and be like, hey, that boss, she ain't about it. She ain't this and that. She ain't whatever. And that's why I'm leaving. Watch. Yeah. But the truth of the matter is, if you're struggling with your own self-worth, if you're struggling with your own emotions, if you're struggling with your own difficulties, mental health, if you're not addressing that stuff, you could be in a difficult situation.
Yeah.
And so, but taking responsibility is a big part of the maturity of transitioning.
Absolutely.
And maybe in your teens and early 20s, you don't see it. You don't
No.
see like you're right about everything. Very likely, it's later on in life that you really start to understand that. And so I mentioned something that you had said in the video, and that one was that we're not responsible for proving our worth. And that's really, when people reached out to me, that's what they said, right? You know, like the truth of the matter is that worthiness is something that we earn. You earn that internally. Feeling, having worth is an internal piece that you must develop, embrace, and then put out there.
Yeah.
I'm worth this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in a relationship, Caesar, that's a tough one. It might even be easier at work sometimes. Like, hey, man, you got to pay me more. But how do you handle that in a relationship when you are not showing your worth? What's the secret there, man? Work and relationships. Expand, if you could, on proving.
I think we'll go with the work one first because it's the easier route.
I'm with you on that.
Honestly, at work, we got to show what we're capable of. At the end of the day, we know internally what we have. We know that drive. We know why we're there. But at the end of the day, we're in that position because we earned it.
That's
no
right.
matter what. So we're not responsible in proving to you or somebody else or your coworker or anybody else in that matter. Be like, why am I in this position? I'm here because I got hired to do it, and I know I can. So what we have to do is be able to go through that, be able to understand that we've earned the right to be at that table, to have that seat at that table, and continue to improve it and continue to grow. Because at the end of the day, like you said it comes from within, and we don't need to we don't need to wait for others to be like, hey, you're doing great, or hey, you've done this thing, oh hey, here's a promotion, oh hey, here's a raise. No, you got to know what you're worth in order for you to go look for those opportunities, look for a better job, for a better salary, for better opportunities.
And it's more than just saying, I'm worth this.
Oh, of course, you got to show it.
Show me your consistency.
Exactly.
Show me that you were there. That you led teams. Show me that you developed new skill sets, that you were empowering of others. That's what your employer wants.
You talk the talk, you got to walk the walk, bro.
100%. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, like people say, just think of a millionaire or a billionaire. Like, oh man, I'd love to be that. This guy is so good. You don't even know what that guy did. You don't know what the Patrick Bet-Davids of the world did to get to that point. The Joe Rogans, the Elon Musks, or whoever else, the President Clinton, or I'm just thinking of all the individuals. Barack Obama, what did he have to go through to go from here to the highest office in the land?
Yeah.
You don't want that, dude. You don't want that level of responsibility, truth be told. And that's the difficult piece with understanding it. Now, if you want it, come out with your plan and go get it. Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, you want support. Like, we could support you. We could tell, like, bro, go get it. But also, can you handle the truth? Yeah. If you want promotion, you want to go get it, and you come to us, hey, so tell me what I'm going to tell you for real. On the real. We just did an exercise with some students and worked with this person, and they had all the confidence in the world. They had everything was good. The issue is the person had never been in a position where they had been challenged. So he or she had already started to say, people around him are dumb, teachers are dumb, and those kinds of things, and they don't get it. And I'm the person who puts out the truth, and when I say it's the truth, like, and I'm thinking of all my military experience. I'm like this,
yikes,
brother, you ain't been in the room with the other alphas.
Yikes,
you ain't been in that room with the alphas, men and women who will tear you up, who will outsmart you.
Second,
Oh, who are you talking about? Caesar has this friend he was talking about, and her success in the military and what that looks like. We all have examples of that. You look at your job. I look in higher ed. You see someone who comes in and is just killing it, man. The Dr. OUs of the world, the Dr. Flows, you know, Valientes. I mean, there's some guys and women who are just killing it. We're like super impressed. In the community world, Roy Juarez, he's just killing it, and people we actually know and get to engage with. You really want their life, well then go get it, go earn it. But it ain't easy.
It ain't gonna be given to you.
So you broke it down on work. You've bought some time, Caesar. Tell me about proving your worth in a relationship, though, which has all the similarities of work.
Yeah.
Well, baby, it got emotion.
Yeah.
It got that last one you got to talk about.
It got all of them.
Dang, dude. You take it like at work. You can't take it. You can't really take it personal. No. Right? One of the 4 agreements. Don't take it personal.
Mm-hmm.
No. But how do you do that in a relationship? It's all personal.
I think it's about growth, honestly. You got to be able to know yourself and what you want out of a relationship, and then go out there and get it. And I think for a lot of people, and for a lot of us that we've been in previous relationships, we have fell in that comfort zone, that we feel good with that person without knowing how much it's affecting your life, bro. Like, it's insane how much that takes a toll on you if you're not able to be responsible for proving your own worth to yourself. Again, you're not proving it to anybody else. You're proving it to yourself, and knowing that you're worth more than what that other person is giving you is the thing that needs to be, the most important thing whenever we're talking about relationships. Because if you're putting in 100% into a relationship and the other person's putting 10%, if that's what you want, okay, that's perfectly fine.
Good point.
If that's exactly what you want, go for it. But just know that at the end of the day, it's always going to be that same way.
Correct.
If you want something that's more balanced, something that it's a give and take, then you got to find a person that's going to be able to do that.
You got to navigate that conversation.
You got to have those conversations. You have to have those tough conversations.
And you know what, Caesar? As I'm thinking about someone like myself who's been in a relationship for a long time, who I was at 22, ain't who I am at 52. On the real. Mm-hmm. So we transitioned. Well, brother, I need you to understand. So did your spouse. So did your mate. Mm-hmm. So did your partner.
The 18-year-old me in relationships is not the 25, 26, well, not 28, being single, but 25, 26-year-old that I was, whatever.
Just
I was in
in
a
those
relationship.
10 years. Who you were at 18 cannot be who you are.
Absolutely not. You got to learn. You got to, and that's the other thing, too, whenever it comes to relationships. We have to go through the rough patches first in a relationship or in a relationship to be able to know what you're worth with the next person or for the next person.
Oh, I thought it was all rough patches.
No, I mean, I don't think so.
Life sentence.
I haven't had, I've had 2 long relationships. That's about it. The first one was a rough patch. I was a rough patch that I had to learn what I was worth.
True.
The second one, I already knew. And
can I tell you something? I think it's a little bit harder for men. We're a little bit slower in that concept, right? There's some men out there, and there's some women too who put up with some stuff that they don't have to.
Yeah.
I hope that's not you. 2 more. We're not responsible for controlling everyone, and we're not responsible for controlling everything. Can you talk about that, man?
I think honestly the biggest just overarching theme is just things are always going to be out of our hands. We can't control anything or everything. We can control, again, how we feel and how we feel about ourselves and how we go about our day-to-day life. But at the end of the day, no matter what, there's things going to come. There's going to be situations. There are going to be feelings that are going to be misinterpreted or whatever the case may be. We're not responsible for it. As long as you're doing the things with the right intention and with the right mindset and attitude without hurting anybody else, then you're not responsible for controlling the outcomes of what might come out of that. We gotta make peace with that.
Here's a hard one. This is the last one of the 7. We're not responsible for explaining our choices to others.
Yikes.
That's tough for a lot of people. It's tough for the recipient, right?
Yeah.
Hey, if your pareja is tóxica, and you say, "Hey, I'm not responsible for it," can't what? La tóxica said, "Now you almost explain it to me." or toxico, right? Whoever you're married to, man, whoever you're dating, whoever you're talking to, that's a harder one to navigate.
Yeah.
Can you expand a little bit on how to reflect that we don't necessarily have that responsibility, to explain our choices to others?
No, we don't. But I think if we're talking about relationships, which is that you just brought that up, I think we're responsible in showing the respect to our partners and explaining our choices.
Is key, man.
And that's the thing. I think that's, again, with that other relationship, the second relationship, that's what I've learned. We have to have respect for each other in order for things to move forward. I'm not explaining you what I'm doing. I'm not going to explain to you what I'm doing. I'm not going to ask for permission to do X, Y, or Z. But at the end of the day, I have to have the respect to let you know what things are going to what's going to happen, or what my choices are going to be. And that comes with everything. That comes with our day-to-day lives. That comes with the family. At the end of the day, I think sometimes in our culture, we also tend to look for that acceptance and that, acceptance from our families, to validation. That's the word I was looking for. For the validation from our families to know that the choices that we're making are the correct ones. At the end of the day, we live in a whole different world than our parents, our grandparents, our siblings even have gone through. So we got to take ownership and be responsible for our own choices without mattering what other people think about it. But at the end of the day, with respect and with doing things the right way and without hurting others.
We've unpacked a lot today. We expanded on, by request, the 7 things we're not responsible for. I think for me, why I brag so much about being a veteran and why I really love being Hispanic is because those two cultures are very similar. You talk about, is this not good?
No, I said half Hispanic, but you didn't catch that.
Half Hispanic and half veteran.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess so.
What I really love about that blend of both of those cultures is they're so similar, and I mean that. And one word stands out more than anything, and that's respect.
Yeah.
Okay. In the veteran culture, subculture, it's all about respect. Mm-hmm. It's all about what you've earned. It's all about empowering others. It's all about family. If you're not a veteran, man, it's hard to understand, but I'm telling you. But if you're Hispanic or a person of color, if you're African American, if you're part of a club, right? If you're part of a biker club or even a street affiliated organization, also known as gangs, you understand what family means and the pure sense of that. I get it. I'm not advocating for affiliating yourself with a gang, but for those people who have now or in the past, it's very similar.
The right? Historical background or where it starts.
Why it starts. It's the same thing with motorcycle clubs. Oh. It's brotherhood, sisterhood. It's the same thing with the veteran community. And in fact, veterans who started most of those organizations. Mm-hmm. Real stuff. Well, the Hispanic community is very similar in that regard. It's all about respect. It's about what you earn. And so, if you ever felt disrespected, I have to remind my colleagues, hey, around students, I'm Dr. Fuentes. That's just what it is. Oh, well, I didn't mean it like that. Oh, it's not that. It's just that for them,
yep,
they don't know a whole lot of other Latinos, Hispanic, African American who have an earned doctorate. It doesn't mean you have to treat me differently, but it does mean you have to render that respect, particularly in front of the community. And if you don't, the community is going to say something like, yo, why is it that every time they talk to this person, they render that respect? They talk to you, they just call it by your first name. Mm-hmm. Like, don't worry, I'm on it, I'll address it. Now you put someone like me in the corner, you're putting me in a position that I have to answer to the community, right? And so whether you want it or not, you're a representation for your community.
Yes, sir.
I take pride in being a veteran. I take pride in being Hispanic, Latino. I take pride in being a man. I take pride in being a father and a husband. My biggest pride, honestly, man, of all that, is being a father. I just love being a father so much. It's been something that's just humbled me so much, and that's the legacy I want to leave behind. I want to leave the legacy of respect, and that's what today's podcast was about. We talked about all the other words, but the underlying core value of everything we talked about is respect.
Yeah.
You know, so again, that's our perspective. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, honestly, I think. Well, it was just a power for them.
I mean,
everything.
It was a lot.
The 7 things are just great, but I think at the end of the day, we're not going to carry any of that forward. We're not going to carry anything from who we were in the past. But the thing that we do have to carry forward is the impact that we continue to make, and how we show up for our people, and how we show up for our community, and the lessons that we've learned, and the lessons that we've left behind for others. I think that's what we need to take forward with us and be able to look forward to. And what do you want to be remembered for? At the end of the day, when we transition, going back to our last 30 ones, the time when we transition, people are not going to remember how much money you have. People are not going to remember the cars or the houses that you have. They're going to remember who you were as a person, how you made them feel whenever you were in their presence or whenever they talked to you, and leaving a legacy behind to know what it is about and how many lives you touched throughout your life.
When you say that, Caesar, reminds me of the mistakes I made as a young father. I don't live there, man. I don't live in the past. I know that I made mistakes as a young husband, as a young father, as a young employee. Mm-hmm. I move forward. I get better. Blanket apology to the world. If I've ever done you wrong, I certainly didn't mean to, except for those 3 people. I didn't mean that to you. I'm just kidding. For everybody else, though, I didn't mean it, man. For my kids, you know, I think about that legacy.
Yeah.
I'm okay with you making fun of me or talking about me for not being the best brother, husband, whatever, son. But I strive to be the best father. And I think about so many of my friends who I admire them as fathers. I mean, Armand, you know, we interviewed him.
That's right.
My homeboy in the military, Michael Palacios, Jerry Phelan, you know, like, man, I can go on and on and on about the friends I've had, the mentors I've had, and what parenthood meant to them. And that's what I strive for, right? But at the end of the day, in order for you to do good and have that impact, you got to let go of the past. So that's what Caesar and I were talking about today. What are you letting go of? In order for you to grow, right? You got to get rid of that weight. And that weight is heavy. It might be a spiritual weight, brother, a physical weight, an emotional weight. It might be decisions we made. Maybe it's an addiction, whatever the situation is. You got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Get some help, transition from it. So here's my question to you. Here's our question to you. What are you letting go of? Right? Hit us up in the comments. What do you think about the 7 things you're not responsible for? There's a million, by the way,
of course.
You're not responsible for. We just expanded on a video Caesar did. I'm good on 6 of them. That 7th one, I need some more time. On that one. But the first 6, I'm good, 100%. So what are you letting go of? Caesar, what are you letting go of? And then we're gonna challenge. I know. We got 2 minutes.
Honestly, I think I'm just all 7 of them. I think for me, I'm just gonna let go of those expectations that other people have, and I think I've been doing that as of lately. I've been able to take care of myself first,
100%,
which is ultimately the life goal and what you need to accomplish. Be able to have yourself be physically, mentally, and spiritually healthy.
That's right.
In order for you to be your better self and show up for others. Because at the end of the day, we've talked about this. If you're not okay physically, if you're not okay mentally, if you're not okay spiritually,
your wellness wheel is off,
and you're not going to be able to provide for others.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, for us, what brings us joy and what motivates us is being able to provide for others, being able, whether it be resources, whether it be emotions, whatever the case may be. That's what brings joy to us. If we're not healthy in all aspects of our life, we're never going to be able to do that. And at the end of the day, we're just going to make people unhappy with how we're treating them and how we're going about our day-to-day life.
And I'm letting go of people who don't celebrate me when I'm not in the room.
Yeah.
I'm letting go of people who are negative just to be negative. Baby, life is too short.
We're letting go of everybody, though.
Let me tell you something. If I know you and we in a room, If you're not in that room, I highlight you. I celebrate you. I really do. And if you can't reciprocate that, and baby, you're not good for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what it is.
We don't need it.
Tell us what you're letting go of. Put it in the comments. I'd be interested. Shoot us a direct message. Think about it. We'll chat in the next episode of Our Last 30. Thank you for listening, for supporting. Thank you for getting us to this 30th episode at 1,000 subscribers. We are on our way to something super magnificent, but it wouldn't be anything without your support. And that is 100% true.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to seeing you guys at our March 22nd summit, Inspiring Change. Keynote speaker Ray Reynosa. He'll be coming in from Cali to entertain us with his inspirational keynote.
Yep.
And March 22nd, please join us. It's free. We need participants. We think we're going to do okay there. We need sponsors.
That's the big thing.
We need padrinos. If you would consider, oh man, we would be so grateful. So, in our last 10 seconds, thank you so much. Thank you for supporting us.
Thank you guys. We'll see you next.
We'll see y'all next week.